Welcome to The Ultimate Insiders, episode 6, talking about Gossip Girl season 1, episode 6, The Handmaiden's Tale, which, as we all know, is about the book and the old movie and now the new show and The Handmaid's Tale.
There was a movie?
Yeah, like in the 80s or 90s, I think. It was really bizarre, but like not that.
The movie is that, or the book is that old? 1985. I don't know why I thought it was like a 2007 kind of deal. Okay.
So what is this
Episode 6.
about?
Episode 6, The Handmaiden's Tale, directed by Norman Buckley, written by Jessica Queller, came out October 24th, 2007. Dan is torn between two girls when his childhood friend Vanessa returns home and declares her feelings for him just as he and Serena are trying to figure out what they mean to each other. At the infamous masked ball, Blair sends Nate on a scavenger hunt, but Nate is ultimately still distracted by his feelings for Serena. Although Blair makes it perfectly clear that outsiders are not welcome, a disguised Jenny and Dan sneak into the ball. Finally, Lily asks Rufus to accompany her to an Eleanor Waldorf event in order to make Bart Bass jealous. Note, this is Jessica Zor's first appearance as Vanessa Abrams.
I love Jessica Zor, but I hate Vanessa Abrams so much.
Oh, this was the introduction of my least favorite character in all of Gossip Girl. I hate Vanessa Abrams so much.
Character. And I know I say Dan is the worst character, but I think Vanessa is a whole different type of terrible. That she's just like,
it's like she was brought in and for what?
Literally, like, and I'm supposed to feel bad for her for no reason. I'm sorry, I don't at all. She's the worst. Literally, my first two notes are I want to go to this masquerade ball and Vanessa.
My first note is I hate Vanessa. Later on, I don't know how much later on, they talk about Vanessa's upbringing and her parents, and I'm sure we'll get to it, but the way her parents feel, I'm not gonna lie, is the way I feel about how like you shouldn't have to pay for education.
But her mom does take it a little bit to the extreme in the way she talks to people, and it bothers
me. Yeah. We'll get to that when we come to it. But yeah, in whatever season that is. Yeah, so Blair has Jenny going around and doing all of these little tasks for her. Yeah. And then Jenny's like, maybe they'll let me go to the party. And
but it's never been, she wouldn't be able to anyways because it's for upperclassmen. So that's an upperclassman thing.
Yeah, and so she's doing all of these things for her with this like hope. And then Serena still hasn't asked Dan to go with him to the party, and they both know that it's happening. Like Dan definitely is aware the party is happening because Jenny is doing all of these things for her, for all these things for Blair. And so Dan is sitting there like, well, Serena knows me. She knows I wouldn't want to go anyway. And then it like cuts to Serena's like, well, I don't think he'd want to go. Like, right. But nobody ever fucking talks to each other on the show, so it's
and then the bitch shows up.
Yeah, and then as Serena is calling Dan to like invite him to be like, you know what, let's just try it.
Right.
You know, maybe he'll go for me. And he's answering and being like, oh, maybe she'll invite me.
Yeah.
But then when you hear Vanessa in the background, Serena's like, who is that? And Dan goes, oh, it's my sister. And then Jenny, yes. Okay. My first note is, or my second note, Jenny makes it from Brooklyn to the Upper East Side in 2 minutes.
Well, no, because there's usually like a weird time gap. We just don't really notice it, I don't think. Or like the timeline is always very weird in this show. But my issue is, what I was going to say.
It was still the same scene.
But like what I was going to say is, why does he need to lie?
I don't know. They came out too easily for him.
Like that's what bothers me is like he was so quick to lie about his friend being in his loft when it's like Serena wouldn't care. Serena, like, she honestly really isn't that much of a jealous person if you're just honest with her about things. Like if you're just straightforward with her, she really doesn't give a shit. And so, like, had he been like, oh, my friend Vanessa's back in town, she would have been like, oh my God, don't even think twice about, like, I'm not even going to ask you to come to this thing. Hang out with her. Like, I can almost guarantee you that's what she would have done because that's how she usually is about things. But, like, no, he had to be like, oh, it's my sister. There was no reason to lie. Like, it bothers me so much. Oh, it makes me so mad. I think it's just because I hate men lying. I hate men. I think that's what it is. But, like, oh my God, it made me so mad.
Not to be like a Dan apologist, but
Ugh,
definitely I know this whole thing is me being a Dan
I
apologist.
hate Dan
You hate Dan.
apologists.
I'm not trying to be. No, he should not have lied to her. Absolutely not. Should not have. That was dumb. Absolutely dumb. But when this person comes back into your life completely unexpectedly and you're grappling with like, huh, what? And then the girl that you're like seeing calls, like he was flustered. He was like, what is Vanessa to me? We haven't spoken in a year. Is she my friend? But are they friends if they haven't
They're
spoken in a year?
childhood friends. Like, they've been friends since they were
He
kids.
shouldn't have lied. He should have been like, oh, it's Vanessa. And then Serena would
Right.
be like, who's Vanessa? And he'd explain more.
Right. There's no reason for being like,
The whole lie was set up to make the episode work.
I know that, but it still makes me mad. And like, my other issue, this is later in the episode, but I'm going to go and talk about it because we're talking about Vanessa. My whole other thing is like, they're outside. This is way later in the episode, like toward the end of the episode, but they're outside the masquerade ball, and Vanessa, or not outside of it, they're like around it. And Vanessa's like crying to Dan, being like, because he lies to her about his plans that night to go to the ball with Serena to surprise her there. And he tells her that he's like working on paper or something. And so she goes there to help Jenny. She ends up there, she sees Dan. She's like, oh, well, this is kind of fucked up. Why the fuck did you lie to me? This is stupid. And he's like, I didn't lie to you. I just withheld the truth a little bit. I'm like, okay. So you lied to her. That seems to be a
Okay.
theme.
Okay, semantics.
And then she starts like crying because she sees Serena and she's like, and he's like, oh, this is just, a friend of mine, Vanessa. And she starts like crying because it's like, oh, it looks like someone traded up.
Yes, when she used that word.
A year ago, bitch, like relax. He said he loved you a year ago and hasn't seen you since.
Yeah.
What?
So I said Vanessa has no right to be that angry at Dan, that Dan has moved on. Only that he lied to her about having to write a paper.
Yes. And even then, that's not that big of a lie. Who gives a shit? Like,
But the fact that like she instantly doesn't like Serena. Serena's done nothing to her.
Literally nothing.
She's like he told her he loved her.
Yes.
And we assume
12 months ago.
Immediately left. She immediately left, didn't say it back.
Right.
And then they haven't been in contact. And she sees that he's moved on, as he should have.
Like a normal person does within a year's time of saying I love you to someone when you're 15 years old.
Yeah. As he should have.
Yeah.
And like she has no right to be that angry.
Zero right.
She can feel upset, but she came back thinking everything was going to be like no time had moved, like a whole year hadn't happened. That's on her.
Not to mention the fact that within this year, his mom has left. So like he's basically been another dad for Jenny. He's had to like step up in his family because his dad's been a broken man for months. And his little sister's been going through it for months. And now she's in with all these people that she barely knows. Like, it's like there's so much shit that she doesn't even know about because they never were in contact with each other at all.
Also, random question.
Yeah.
Dan's been going to this school for his entire high school experience. So she knows that he goes to this school.
Yeah.
These shouldn't be new people to her.
No, because he's been
if they've talked about anything
since October of freshman year.
Yeah, and that's where things get tricky because it's like,
Did he just not say anything to Vanessa about Serena?
Yeah. Did
Weird
he just love her?
piece of shit. Sorry. I'm not really that mad at Dan in this episode. He didn't really do that much wrong for me in this episode. I don't hate him in this episode. But like also, something else that really I literally have in here. Can Vanessa like calm down maybe? Because like she was so much. Like in the first scene where it's just her and Dan walking on the street, talking about like their plans or whatever for that night. She's literally like says all these horrible things about like the people at his school. And I'm like, hey, just because they go to a private school does not mean that they're like horrible trust fund people. Yes, a lot of them are, but that doesn't mean that all of them are. That doesn't mean that like these are all terrible people, because some people are there, like Dan, on a scholarship to further his education. Like, I don't understand why it's okay for her to say shit like that. Like, that really bothered me. And then like,
Well, it makes you think, has he and have the two of them been talking like that about those people?
right. Like,
And so
but then
she,
Dan does still talk like that about these people. Like, he still says stuff like that. Even
yeah.
though he
I
knows
mean,
that there's
at
more
the
to
end
them than what it seems.
at the end of the episode, when he's like, okay, well, let me tell you all about my life.
I
And
wrote,
he's
why
like,
does Dan describe his life like a sitcom synopsis?
yeah, he's like, well, there's this girl and I like her, but her best friend
And her mom.
is like, and she has a mom and we're always battling. And her best friend, she does us, but the best friend is dating this boy.
Who I don't really get along with, which is ironic because later in this season,
Later, the two of them become BFFs.
into his home, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah. And it's like, this sounds like what the pitch was for Gossip Girl. Like when they were pitching it to the CW.
But if that's what it is, they just like have like their recording session for their pitch, and then they're like, "We're gonna write down all of this, and Dan's just gonna say it to Vanessa, like word for word, verbatim, what he's gonna say to Vanessa."
Here are the characters. There's this one boy. He's lonely.
New York.
There's the girl he's in love with. Then she has a mom. The mom and the boy, they don't get along. They're always battling. But the girl that he's in love with, she has a best friend. The best friend just finally decided that he's kind of okay. The best friend's got a boyfriend. That boyfriend, a jock, kind of meathead, kind of like how currently I am. No thoughts, just rocks up here. Brain is soup. I've been saying that so much recently, like in every single Snapchat. In every single Snapchat I've been sending anybody, I'm like, look, I don't know. Like, that's just my go-to answer. I don't know. Brain is soup, no thoughts, just rocks, which I think I heard on a TikTok somewhere. I couldn't tell you.
Because I think I've heard that on TikTok.
I'm like, this is just how I'm describing my life these days.
So then we have, another note I have about Vanessa is, OMG, I cannot stand her. Shut the fuck up. I don't know what that was in reference to, but I said it. Oh, another thing that has to do with Vanessa, but not in like a hatred way. It's just something she brought up, where she's like, pierogies at Veselka, and I literally started crying because I miss pierogies at Veselka so much because they are so good, and I love Veselka.
Never. You want to know what? You want to know a funny story? Only time I've ever had a pierogi was when one was tossed to me in a box at Great Comet before the show.
You've told me that, because I feel like I've brought up pierogies to you because I love them, and I feel like you've told me that.
The one and only time. And then like in the box there were two, and I had one, and then like I set the box aside, and then my mom just like in the middle of the show like had the other one, and I was like, oh, you ate the other one, okay. I guess I
love pierogies.
Have to decide what pierogies taste like again.
And then you can buy them like frozen at the grocery store. They're not as good, but you can. And then I also, so then I want to talk about Nate, because Nate went through a lot in this episode.
Oh, his whole arc was just like completely separate from everything else that's happening.
And here's the thing, that's what I love about Nate. That's like one of my arguments for why he's the best character, is most of his drama is within his own family, and he doesn't really get into it all that much with other characters. And when he dies, it's never really his fault. I love it. So Nate in this episode went through it. So the last episode that we saw Nate in, so 2 episodes ago, all of his money was taken out of his trust fund by his dad. And in this episode, Chuck is like, "Oh, did you get all that figured out?" And he's like, "Yeah, my dad like said he was just moving accounts around and it was all back the next day," which sketchy as fuck, but okay. And then he like is going through all this stuff in his dad's office and he finds a little baggie of cocaine.
He finds a dime bag.
Of
And then
cocaine.
and then Chuck, I kept wanting to say Bart, and then I wanted to say Buck, and I'm like, come on, Katie, you know the name.
Chuck has all
Chuck,
the best lines. I love it.
Chuck, well, he says, Chi-Chi get the yayo, and I was like, what the hell even
And
is
then
that?
he
I
goes,
did Google it. It's from like Scarface.
yeah, and then he goes, "I thought you were strictly an herb man." And it makes me laugh. I love that line. I think it's so good. And he's like, and it's here's the thing that a lot of people don't know. In the books, um, Nate's entire character is a pothead, and he is like addicted to marijuana because this is when people thought that marijuana was like the worst of drugs. And he ends up in rehab at one point in the books. Like it's just like chaos. But so a lot of the times when they're smoking weed or bring up weed, it's alluding to how he was a pothead in the books and how they wrote that they wrote part of that into his character for the show. So, in case you didn't know that, interesting things that no one gives a shit about, and it's just in my brain. Um, and I put as a note because he like calls Blair to talk to her about it because he's sad and he doesn't know who else to talk to because Chuck's not really much help. So I put Nate is so cute. He just needs someone to be there for him. Like I just want to squish him. He's so cute.
The idea of like Blair's phone being off doesn't seem very Blair.
But it's also the day of a big party that she's throwing, and like there's a lot she's had to like deal with that day. Like she's going around and doing stuff along with sending Jen.
Especially on the day of a party. You would not put your phone off.
I
You do
would.
not turn your phone off.
I would. I'm too much of a
Not if you were
bother me.
okay, and if something goes awry
If something goes
and they
awry,
need your input on something,
I ask someone to be like, "What the fuck is happening?" She has people to deal with it. Like she's got party planners. Anyways, and then
I don't know.
what happened? What's next with Nate? And then Nate does a lot of shit in this episode. But at the same time he does nothing. And then at one point during the party, at the end of the party.
Well, before the party, he can't get in contact with Blair, so then he goes to Serena.
Yeah. Well, no.
And he's like,
I know why he can't get in contact with Blair. She doesn't have her phone up. She's just not answering his calls because she's got that whole thing planned where at the end of the night, if he finds her by midnight, like he has to go through all of her minions, and then if he finds her by midnight, they have sex or whatever. And so I think that that's part of it, was like she just wasn't in contact with him all day because of that. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like that's what it was. But yeah.
I thought that wouldn't have started until the party.
I don't know. Blair's Blair. She's a crazy person.
Okay. Okay.
I love her, but she's nuts.
But yeah, so he reaches out to Serena and then essentially is like, I still love you, Serena. And she's like, we're not doing this.
Like, whoa.
She's like, we're not doing this. Can't do it.
Yeah. But she does give him really good advice. She does talk to him. And I also wrote this down. I was like, I know I shouldn't, but I love Nate and Serena. They're one of my favorite couples, if not my absolute favorite couple in the show. I love Nate and Serena when they get together later on. Spoiler alert. They're not together for long, so it's really not that deep. But I love them as a couple in like season 4 or end of season 3 into season 4. Because they're for the most part drama free. Like they really aren't that toxic for each other. They're not super problematic together. And I think that's rare in this show because you have like Chuck and Blair who are constantly just toxic energy all the time with each other. And then you have Blair and Nate who they were forced into a relationship and it never really worked as a relationship. It was just a friendship that was really, really strong. And then I got my issues with Dana and Serena, but that's the whole exploitation thing is just not my favorite thing on the planet. And then the sex tape, all that. So not really a big fan of Dan and Serena. It's later on in the show. It's like season 5 or 6. Like it's like super later in the show.
Like,
Spoiler alert. She records them having sex to send to Blair to get back at her for a thing.
We'll get to it when we get to it.
Journey when we get there. And then Rufus and Lily, I don't like them together. I think that they don't work.
See, I do. I like them together.
I'm very unpopular in that, and I know that. Like, I think it's a very controversial opinion. No one else agrees with me on it. I just don't like them together. I'm not a fan. I like them as friends. I don't like them in a relationship. And then obviously Bart with anyone. It's just like toxic. As much as I love Bart and Lily, I'm just like, this is toxic as fuck.
Because Bart's the worst.
Yeah, but I love him. So it's fine. But yeah, I love Nate and Serena. I think it worked really well as friends, and then when they are in a relationship, I think that it just really worked, and it was just a lot of little things got in the way of them working long term in a relationship. But I just want the best for Nate. That's it.
Love some motorcycles outside.
Love a good motorcycle. So then we get to the party, and Dan has to sneak into the party. He steals a mask from a drunk kid on the street and asks him for his name, and then says the name to the doorman, and he gets in.
I think that is, like, truly...
It's iconic.
It's iconic.
It's amazing. And then all but 5 minutes later, Vanessa just walks in.
Well, okay. Vanessa's like, Jenny, I'm going to help you get into this party. I know somebody who works in the costume department at BAM. Like, that isn't completely illegal to do.
Literally.
Just, like, take a ball gown. Like, go to Forever 21 down the street. Get a dress.
So many thrift stores in New York that would have nice dresses for, like, less than $50. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
And earlier, Serena's like, well, I guess I need to come up with another date to this party. So she is talking with somebody named, she's talking with somebody named, whose screen name is Rich Boy the Fourth. And
I love it.
what a name.
I love it.
What a screen name. But when Dan, like, confronts Serena at the party, he goes, oh, that's pompous ass the fourth. I'm like, the way you both use the fourth in that seems a little weird.
But we know why Dan knows what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Penelope Featherington.
Not the Bridgerton reference, no! We just know Bridgerton for anyone who watches this or listens to this. Way to go, Katie. Spoiler
Well,
alert. Lady Whistledown is Penelope Featherington. Which I love that Bridgerton did that in the end of the first season. I thought that was fucking incredible. Like, I was like, Gossip Girl made us wait 6 seasons for nothing. Gave us 1 season, like 13 episodes, and we're like, or 8 episodes, and we're like, it's Penelope. You're welcome. So anyway, so then, which I just think it's funny though that Dan had to sneak into this party, and Vanessa just asks a guy, oh, do you know where my friend is? And then goes, just get your office, go find her. Walks in. Because that makes so much sense. Like, she's a no one in a jeans and a t-shirt. Like, Dan had on a suit. Like, none of it made sense to me. And then another thing, no one recognized Jenny. No one. She is
the idea
of 11 blonde woman who is like what?
The idea of mixing up Jenny and Serena as everyone seems to, and like is like wider than her and different. Yes, yes, exactly. And Serena is played by an adult woman, and Jenny is played by a teenager. Yes, it's like 2 very different body types. Just because they're both white and blonde doesn't mean they can be mixed up.
Yes.
But like the fact that everyone seems to mix it up. Also, when Jenny is like yeah, even when Jenny is like messing with Chuck, and they're both just like goofing around.
Which, can I just say this really quick about that? I put in my notes, I hate Jenny, but her getting revenge on Chuck is the best part of the episode.
Oh yeah,
I love
absolutely.
it. Love it.
At the end of the episode, how did he know it was her?
Blair probably hinted to him because Blair knew it was her by the bracelet that she's wearing. Because it's the bracelet that she saw at her place or whatever earlier in the day Aaron gave her. And so I'm sure Blair like also I feel like Chuck knows the difference between Serena and Jenny, but
he never thought it was Serena.
No, he never thought it was Serena, but he didn't know it was Jenny. So like, but then he sees Dan and Serena outside, and I feel like it was more pointed at Dan because he doesn't like Dan. Everyone knows that. So like, I feel like he was just feeling Blair's anger, mixing it with his own.
You know what? I love Chuck when he is just so blasé about everyone else, and he's just like, who cares?
Yes.
He's like, this is my life. Why is everyone being so dramatic?
But then
that's my favorite Chuck.
But then you have this Chuck who's just like, who now is like obsessed with Blair and is like, I want everything that she wants. Like, I want everything for her.
Well, he's not obsessed with her yet.
He's pretty close.
No, I don't.
A few things in this episode that made me think that this is the beginning of his obsession.
It's not until next episode.
But he says some things in this episode that are kind of creepy.
That's just Chuck being Chuck.
Well, yeah, but he says to her that, like, doesn't matter what she's wearing, he would still find her better than Nate could, and then all this other stuff. I don't remember what he was saying, but it made me very uncomfortable. And then, oh, what else am I missing? Oh, then towards the end of the party, when Nate is supposed to be finding Blair, finds Jenny, comes up behind her thinking it's Serena, which
again, you couldn't mix the two up.
We've known Serena for how long? And says all like professes his love to her and like all this stuff, and then says this is the best part because I felt Jenny in this moment. He goes, what did I write? I wrote it down. Hold on. Oh, he was like, if you don't stop me right now, I'm gonna kiss you. She didn't stop him. She turned around, kissed him, then ran away. And I said, me though. I was like, girl, I wouldn't have stopped him either. I was like, I don't blame you. And then he doesn't, and then as Jenny's running away, Blair grabs her because thinking it's Serena, grabs her, sees the bracelet, realizes it's not Serena, then turns around, sees Nate looking at Jenny, watching her run away, and is like, some shit just went down and I'm not happy about it. As she shouldn't be, because it was kind of, Nate shouldn't have said this shit that he did, but he did. And at that point it's midnight. He goes up to her, acts as if he was looking for her all along because he's an idiot. And she's like, no, it's 12:01. Sorry. And then like goes about her night.
Is it the next episode where Nate just like and Jenny just like hang out and don't even go to a party?
I think so. It's either the next one or the one after the next.
Okay.
Where is it? Oh, and then before we even get into Eleanor's party,
the party was weird.
Party was very
what
weird.
was the point of it?
We had a hookah and everything. Hookahs come up way too much in this show. Like, I literally pointed that out to everyone we were watching. I was like, hookahs come up a lot in the show. It was very weird. Anyways,
well, I was watching it and I was thinking, oh, there's like the amount of because like the use of a hookah and then finding cocaine. I was like, oh, this is a scandalous show.
It is.
This was so scandalous for 2007.
I know, it's crazy. And then another thing about Nate, because I only have like 3 notes about Eleanor's party. So the last thing I have about Nate is at the end of the episode, when everything's starting to ramp up for the episode, he gets home and he's like, oh, hey mom, hey dad, what are we doing up? And his mom is like, well, we were just about to pop open a bottle of champagne to celebrate your dad like making the deal with Eleanor, like all this stuff. And then she goes, and as I was looking for a bottle opener, I found this, and holds up the dime bag because the captain told his wife that it was their son's, even though it was his.
Or said, I don't know where it came from, and therefore there's only 3 people living in the house.
He didn't defend his own son.
That's true.
Still fucked up.
Yeah.
What the hell? Like,
well, also, does he have dime bags hidden all over the house? Because there was one in the book.
He's a rich white man in New York City. He has dime bags everywhere, Katie. Come on, let's be real. Let's be real.
I'm so terrified of drugs that I couldn't imagine doing it. I'm so scared. Like, and it's not like I'm anti. I mean, I'll whatever.
Air officer over here, Katie.
I'm like, you know what? You do what you want. That's totally chill. I'm terrified. I've watched too many like murder and like things gone bad. I'm like, it's gonna be laced with something.
Valid, because
I'm just afraid everything's gonna be laced and I'm just gonna like OD and die.
I feel that. I'm not like deathly afraid of, like, I'm not like crazy afraid of them. I know a lot of people that have done a lot of things. I'm not saying any names. I'm not saying any drugs because I'm not incriminating anybody on here.
Let's just say pretty much everyone I worked with at In-N-Out was a raver. So
let's just say that I know
every single one of them
in my life, and I know, and I'm also from Kentucky. What else is there to do? So I know a lot of people that have done different things. Anyways, so the note that I have in here about the captain is the the worst person on the planet, blaming your son for your coke stash. Like, that's just, it really fucks me up. Like, it really bothers me. So anyways, on to Eleanor's.
Drugs are so expensive.
They are expensive. Drugs are very expensive. Don't do drugs, kids. Stay in school.
Sorry, I just had to add that to my list of like, I'm terrified and also very expensive.
They are very expensive. You're correct. So on to Eleanor's party. I'm talking about drugs. So Eleanor's party is like a hookah. What's the theme? I can't remember what Lily said.
Like Moroccan or something. Like Moroccan nights.
Yeah, something like that, which is a great theme. I will say that. It can be tastefully done without being problematic. I don't think there was anything crazy in this party that made it, like we need to cancel Eleanor Waldorf or anything. But also I wasn't really paying attention to these scenes all that much, I'm gonna be honest with you. So the 3 notes that I have are Rufus making Bart jealous is funny as fuck to me. Cause like Bart should be a little bit more secure in himself, if we're being honest. I don't understand his jealousy. And then beauty fades is something that Rufus says. And to talk about how her beauty will never fade because she's the most beautiful woman on the planet, because she is. And I added, not for Kelly Rutherford, it doesn't, because she literally looks the same now as in the show. Like, she doesn't age.
As she did 13 years ago, 14 years ago.
She's beautiful. Like, she's perfect. And then
good genes or good docs? These are the questions we ask on this show.
Facts. And then I have Bart is hotter than Rufus. That's the T.
Yeah.
Don't even.
I don't find either of them particularly attractive.
What?
Mm-mm. I don't find either. Well, the thing is, Bart has that face that's like, it has like years, like it's seen shit.
He has seen shit. He's played a lot of different characters,
and that's
very good acting range. So obviously, it
should. So like it's not mixed with his personality. I don't like it. Rufus, I just don't find attractive.
Personality doesn't matter if you're hot and you have money. Let's be honest.
Look, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I need somebody to be a little pretty looking, but also I need you to make me laugh. Like, if you can make me laugh, it's golden. You're golden.
I want to discuss this with you right here right now, because this is also something I feel like we need to talk about, because I talk a lot about how attractive I find a lot of people in this show. So I feel like we need to get this out in the open. Katie and I have very different types as well. Very different types. My type is kind of all over the place.
What?
But I tend to
What?
go for the same type of person. But I also
Was it on
got to do a lot of different types of people.
this podcast or the other one that I essentially gave my list of who I found attractive,
I think it was I think it was this one.
where I was like, Ben Schwartz.
With all these like Jewish comedian men.
It's truly my type.
It's like Andy Samberg.
I was like,
Ben Schwartz.
but then I was also like, look, Demi Adejuyibe from Gilmore Guys and many other things. He's a writer on the Amber Ruffin show right now. I find him so cute.
Here's
He's
your
so
type.
funny.
This is what your type is. Average looking, like just average Joe walking on the street, looks like a normal human being, but is like the funniest person on the planet. And you just know it from looking at them. Whereas my type is like he yachts every weekend and
you love a wasp.
I do. I really do. I hate to say it, but I really do. I mean, like, you're good.
I didn't want to do this on mic.
Oh.
Didn't want to slurp on mic.
Like,
sorry, I was finishing drinking up my cherry Coke Zero from Jack in the Box. Oh my God. So they have one of those. They've got that like Coke machine things with all the buttons.
Yeah. My type essentially is like, because I grew up loving like Harrison Ford and Richard Gere and like all these white men who are just like insanely talented, but in like a very like low key way. Like they're just like good, but they like know it, but they don't like show that they know it. And then like I started watching Gossip Girl, and it was just like Nate Archibald is like everything I've ever needed in a man. And that still rings true. I need a Nate Archibald in my life. And then I watched New Girl within the last year, and Schmidt is my type. Like that's just the fact of it. Schmidt is my literal type of human being that I need in my life. And so I realized my type is very ranging, a wide variety of men that I find enjoyable to look at respectfully. But then when it comes down to it, I end up going for the same type of person. And it's embarrassing. I hate it.
Yeah.
The last guy that I dated was what I thought Schmidt was, but he's just an asshole instead. So can't have everything.
I mean,
can't have it all apparently.
I don't know. I need to laugh.
I'm fine not laughing.
I mean, what?
You get a bottle of wine and you turn on something that I think is funny, and I'm good. I don't need my man to make me laugh. I can watch Undrafted for that. Another movie with Chase Crawford. I just need Chase Crawford. That's what I need.
I grew up watching a lot of like old comedy things with my dad. So
I did too, but I didn't like them.
I mean, there's a lot I didn't like. Like, this is controversial. I don't care too much for Monty Python, which like is fun. I find some things funny, but not like everything. But I've been watching
Kentucky to visit and meet my parents like a year and a half ago or so. And we couldn't figure out what to watch after dinner at my parents' house. So my dad turned on Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And it was my guy friends, like first time seeing it. They were laughing their asses off. And my mom
I think men really like Monty Python. It's very like boys humor, which is fine.
Yeah.
Whereas like I'm more into like dry millennial humor, dry Gen Z humor. And so like it's fine. I also grew up watching like from birth essentially Seinfeld. So that probably falls into
why you're talking about me.
Well, look, I'm not saying that I just immediately, as I was saying this, came to this revelation, but and I don't think that I find him attractive, but the fact that I grew up watching Jerry Seinfeld may fall into that why I find like Jewish comedians attractive might have something to do with that. Not that I think like Seinfeld is like the pinnacle of humor.
True.
It's fine. I watch it out of nostalgia because I grew up watching it.
I think that
But
my humor, I don't even know how to describe my humor. I just think like what I think is funny is funny. Like there's no like specific type, I don't think. But like if there's movies that like I could tell you the name of, no one's gonna know what they are. But if I tell you the name of these movies are my sense of humor, and it's like undrafted. Um, Confessions of a Shopaholic, I think is the best movie ever made. It's my all-time favorite movie. I love that movie more than anything. Like it's
I
art.
think I've only seen it once or maybe twice.
I bought it on YouTube and iTunes and Amazon. Like I have it on every platform just so that I have it at my disposal anytime I want it. Um, a lot of lines in Devil Wears Prada, I think, are the funniest things on the entire planet. Devil Wears Prada is my second favorite movie. If that tells you anything about my personality.
Devil Wears Prada isn't a comedy.
No, but it's funny.
It's not funny.
There are lines that are funny to me that I think are hilarious. But like, it tells you anything about who I am as a person. My two favorite movies are Confessions of a Shopaholic and Devil Wears Prada. Can we tell that I'm obsessed with the fashion industry? I have been my whole life. Like I've just always been like this. And Gossip Girl made it worse. Like it's so bad. But anyways, so like there are certain movies that are like my sense of humor, but like no one else gets it because no one else has seen those movies. Like if I bring up Undrafted all the time. It's one of my favorite like feel good movies. No one on the planet has seen this movie, but everyone should because it's so funny. And it's just like a bunch of stupid men who love each other more than anything trying to win a baseball game because their best friend didn't get drafted. Like it is the cutest movie and it is so funny. And Chase Crawford is in it, and Tyler Hoechlin is in it, and Aaron Tveit is in it, and Joe Mazzello. Like it has the most stacked C-list cast ever. And I love it.
No, the movie I think everybody should see is The Rocker, starring Rainn Wilson,
No.
has Jason Sudeikis, Bradley Cooper, uh, Will Arnett, Fred Armisen's in it. You got Teddy Geiger, Emma Stone, Josh Gad, Jane Lynch, Christina Applegate, Jeff Garlin. Who else is in this movie? Dimitri Martin's in the movie. I think Aziz Ansari's at the very beginning of it.
I love Jason Sudeikis. I love Bradley Cooper. I love Fred Armisen. I hate that movie.
I love it so much. It is like the movie that my dad and I talk about constantly that nobody has ever seen.
My sister,
Nobody saw this movie.
I watched it with my sisters like when I was younger. Like I don't even remember how
It
old.
came out in 2008. It came out in like
I watched
August
it
of
when I was, like, 9 or 10
2008.
years old. So yeah, so I watched it when I was like 9 or 10 years old, and I thought it was stupid then. And then I rewatched it a couple years ago, and I was like, this is stupid. Like it is not for me at all.
I love that
Like,
movie.
if this adds to anyone questioning what my humor is, I didn't watch SpongeBob as a child. I thought SpongeBob was the dumbest shit on the planet when I was a kid. I've seen 2 episodes throughout my entire life. I think it's so stupid. I hate it.
SpongeBob is great. Not so much anymore. SpongeBob, how about this? SpongeBob was great. The SpongeBob SquarePants musical, fan-fucking-tastic.
Oh, Katie.
The SpongeBob musical
Here's the thing about this
was fantastic.
The individual parts of it are good. I don't like it all together. If that makes any sense. I just think
I went in with
it.
expectations on the floor, and I came out of that show being like, whoa,
so
this was great.
My roommate / best friend Evan she loves SpongeBob, and she got very attached to the SpongeBob musical. And so I got very into the SpongeBob musical because I try to get her into musicals all the time. And I was like, whatever works. whatever happens, whatever works with you, we're gonna go with it. And so we love the cast of the SpongeBob musical. I still love the cast of the SpongeBob musical. I think they're amazing people, so freaking talented. It's nuts. And then whenever the Pro Shot came out that they filmed, we bought it on Amazon Prime, and we watched it together while we were studying for finals, and we were crying over it. Like it was genuinely, I had fun watching it. I genuinely loved it, but at the same time, I watched it then objectively, and I was like, okay, so each piece of it is amazing. But then if you watch it all together, I'm like, I hate this. Like, I'm like, this is not good. But I love anything. I love any excuse to have Gavin Lee tap dancing on like all those legs. Like, art, art.
I'm gonna throw out an opinion. I think, and I saw the other show. I think that Ethan Slater should have won Best Lead Actor in a Musical over Tony Shalhoub. I loved Tony Shalhoub. I saw him in The Band's Visit, so I saw him in that role. I saw both of them in their roles, and I thought Tony Shalhoub was amazing in his role.
He can't be bad at anything.
Yeah, exactly. It was also like his first musical, which was interesting. But he also only had one song.
He's the most amazing actor ever, and no one talks about it. Incredible.
Ethan Slater should have won.
You're correct.
Who was he up?
Absolutely correct.
It was Ethan Slater, Tony Shalhoub, Josh Henry, and someone else.
What year was this?
2017.
Was it someone from Mean Girls?
No, sorry, 2018.
What was the year Mean Girls was nominated for everything, right?
Yeah.
I remember getting really excited about The Band's Visit winning everything, and all my Mean Girls fans were like, and I was like, okay, shut the fuck up.
Mean Girls is so bad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm glad we're not
I'm sorry.
On our podcast, because Abby listens to that one and she'd kill me. So she kind of agrees with me sometimes. I don't know.
Let me see
who it was. I'm probably gonna cut out most of this when I'm editing.
That's fine.
So off base.
That was the year Bruce Springsteen and John Leguizamo got honorary awards. Just like, okay.
Don't laugh. I love Bruce Springsteen so much. He got like a DWI or something, I think.
Harry Hayden Patton for My Fair Lady.
That's okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, no, Ethan Slater should have won.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was fine with Tony Shalhoub winning, but it definitely should have been Ethan Slater.
The things he did with his body in SpongeBob.
Yeah. People didn't want to take SpongeBob seriously because of it being SpongeBob, but if you if you renamed
and like all like it was like crazy
and racism,
yeah.
If you took out the fact, like if you didn't call it SpongeBob and just renamed all of the other characters, it would have been taken a million times more seriously.
And here's the funny thing is when that one guy had like the Trump flag at Frozen, I laughed about it. Like we laughed about it and we were like, why wouldn't you do that?
Wasn't that Timothy Hughes who like ripped it out of his hands?
Yes, Timothy Hughes is
AKA Tall Man from Hades Town.
We love him.
Not his actual character name. People just call him Tall Man.
Yeah, he's amazing. But
he's like 7 feet tall. Man's giant.
This man like having a Trump flag at Frozen, and we were like, "This show's not political at all. Take it to SpongeBob." We were like, "What the hell?" But yeah. Anyways, we need to get back to because I gotta go to bed soon. So.
Okay. What else did we? I feel like we covered everything about Gossip Girl.
Gossip Girl.
Lily brought Rufus to make Bart jealous, and then Howard, aka the captain. If I knew his name was Howard,
I never call him Howard. Man. I literally forget his name half the time because I'm like, that's
when I heard Anne Archibald call him Howard, I was like, that's funny. Weird. But
Howard, yeah, Nathaniel
he still like scored the deal or whatever. Yeah. It was fine. But that was like it. It kind of just ended. Like Dan and Vanessa ended up fine, and he's like, "Let me tell you about my life. Well, like you didn't just blow up at me." Anyway. Why is there a helicopter?
Sometimes they fly. Anyways, Katie, what is our social media platforms?
On Instagram and TikTok, we're at The Ultimate Insiders. And if you want to follow me, hi, I'm Katie. I'm on Instagram at Complete Katie and TikTok at Katiefornia.
And
Yeah.
I'm at It's Jill Hayes on all social media platforms.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Bye.